Recent attacks in Iraq have some wondering if U.S. forces will be able to leave that war-torn nation. Just last month, at least 100 people were killed and hundreds more wounded when two suicide bombers struck in Baghdad. The rise in violence comes just 2 months after the U.S. handed over control to Iraqi security forces. Joining me now is Wesley Gray, a retired U.S. Marine and author of Embedded, a Marine Corps advisor inside the Iraqi Army. And great to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
It's an honor to be here.
So first and foremost, what do you make of the uptick in violence? Is it solely because the U.S. stepped back and handed more control over to the Iraqis?
Well, you know what, I think it was inevitable that once we've kind of handed over the opportunity for Maliki to prove himself and to prove his forces actually able to do it, that, you know, insurgent groups or even various political parties would actually attempt to, you know, test him out and see what he's worth. And
you worked with Iraqi troops. Tell us what your evaluation would be of them. Are they capable of handling this situation completely on their own?
You know, I think Iraqi troops, there's two things everyone should always know. One is when you deal with them as a military unit, so you got to have a lot of patience. Everything takes 2 to 3 times as long. And then the other thing is that they do have the basic capabilities to conduct military operations. They can collect intelligence, go on patrols, and you know, shoot their AK-47s in the general direction we need them to. I think the real issue, though, is the political reconciliation process and making sure that these guys have the actual incentives to fight for the nation as a whole. And right now it seems that they're actually into fighting for the nation as a whole, but if there's any sort of breakdown, for example, the Sunnis start seeing they're getting like the short end of the stick from a quote-unquote Shia-led government, you know, they may want to fight for local and tribal interests as opposed to for the national military units.
Is there anything the U.S. can do to help encourage that cohesion and keep it?
I think it's something that, I mean, we can obviously mediate the process. I think the general right now is going to do that with the Kurds because there's been a backlash between Iraqi or whatever the Kurdish guy is up there and then the government, and he's actually going to send troops up there to help mediate the process. So I think that's kind of our role, but it really is internal Iraqi politics, so we should try to take as hands-off approach as possible and just let them, you know, deal with their own problems and fight through it and figure out solutions.
We all know it's going to happen someday, but what happens when U.S. troops are gone? And can we realistically expect U.S. troops to be completely gone? There was the agreement that was negotiated before President Bush left office that says we'll be out of there in 2011.
Yeah, well, so the first thing, as I said, even if we want to leave today, I mean, if you've ever been out there, these bases are like huge fortresses, and there's so much gear and so much
we're not going to disappear overnight.
So even if we wanted to leave like today, it would probably take at least a year or two just to get the logistics of actually making it happen. Now, as far as should we be leaving, I guess is the general question. I know when I was over there, there seemed to be a general sense that the Iraqi people and the Iraqi military specifically think America is just a bag of money and we have all these resources and we can give them anything they want. And I think they've kind of become accustomed to this. So I think what we need to do is actually make Iraqi people, you know, solve their own problems with their own solutions and their own resources. And if they actually need our help, as opposed to just expecting it and then, you know, just saying, hey, America, give us everything we want, and then we'll blame all our problems on you at the same time. We should make them actually give us requirements. Hey, why do you need this? What are you going to use it for? We'll let you have it, but hey, the ball's on you. And if you make a mistake, don't blame it on us, because you were the ones making decisions trying to solve your own problems.
Is there any chance that the ongoing violence could actually cause agreements to be renegotiated to delay U.S. troop withdrawal? There could be, but the problem is that's what all the enemies of Maliki want to happen. There's the problem that the guy faces is he spent all his political capital on this idea that he's the guy that's freed the Iraqi people from American occupation and the violent insurgencies. So the issue, though, is they got elections coming up here in January. So you got your disenfranchised Sunnis, you got your Baathists who would love to make sure that he has to go begging for American troops to come back in, because then they can say, hey, look, he's weak. Maybe you should give us an opportunity. And then you also have the Iranians who maybe covertly have an interest in making sure America comes back because they'd like us to keep our resources and men and equipment bogged down in the region. So the problem is Maliki faces all these other actors who have an incentive to actually force us to come into the picture. And so if we end up having to come back into the picture, it's not necessarily a good thing, because it means that Maliki's probably has failed and his forces haven't been able to accomplish the mission that we hoped they would be able to do.
This is absolutely fascinating. I'm sorry that we've run out of time, but Wesley Gray, the author of Embedded, a Marine Corps advisor inside the Iraqi Army, thank you so much for being here tonight. Really
Thanks for being
appreciate
here.
your perspective.
It was an honor giving my perspective.
And thank you for your service.
Thank you.